We make up 80%
Italy? Whiskey? Ah, Italy, you could never unlock my secret. Oh no! Suddenly, no, leave me! Let's begin. Indeed.
All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian, and this is the Fireside Chat, and I am here with one of the vets of the men's movement. I think I call it the old guard, not because of the beard, but just because you've been doing this a long time. Dan Perrins, right? Is that how you say it, Perrins?
Yep.
Okay.
Just like me and Perrins was just pure sauce.
Yeah, so Dan, in case you guys, well, first of all, welcome to the show, Dan. It's good to have you. I haven't seen you since, I think I ran into you. I went up to Toronto for a talk that Warren Farrell was giving because he was sort of promoting his book, The Boy Crisis, and you were there. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yeah, I was there. Quick appearance there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, I ran into you there, and I haven't made it to Toronto too often lately. It's been kind of dodgy everywhere.
Dodgy?
Yeah,
What?
It's pretty dodgy everywhere. Tent cities. People are desperate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not good. So, I shared a clip at the beginning that you guys might remember from the early days of like the internet feminism and their clashes with MRAs, and it's Chanty Binx. I forget her real name, but that's sort of like one of her screen names. We call her Big Red. And I wanted to share the Big Red clip because, Dan, you were there. You spoke to her. I think she was actually yelling at you when that thing was going down. Is that right?
Yeah, I was there at Ground Zero.
Ground Zero.
Can I say fuckface?
What?
Can I say fuckface? Can I have that?
Yeah.
Chanty did all the time, so,
So I'm actually really curious about the story of what happened that day. What was all that about? How did you find yourself across from probably the largest feminist meme on the internet, period, like the biggest meme? And I'm so grateful, by the way, to Chanty for that. I'm so grateful for Big Red because she is embodied like what we were up against so well. I think that so what's the story of how did you end up there and what was up with that?
Well, at the time, I believe I was the Ontario news director for A Voice for Men, and they asked me to go out, on scene. And there had been some previous protests at the Canadian Association for Equality's lectures. And the one that was being given that night when I faced Chanty was, it was Paul Nathanson and Catherine Young. And I think it was the second book in their 3-part series on Miss Andry.
Mm-hmm.
And so there I was, and there they were out in the hallway there, banging on the lockers, making all kinds of ruckus. And to be honest with you, if you look at the videos from that, you will see Professor Catherine Young, and she looks concerned, like somewhat, like almost scared. She looked really somewhat concerned.
Yeah.
So the fire alarm goes off. Everybody has to leave. We know that it's a false alarm. It is what it is. Yes. Go outside, and there was I think about 4 or 5 of us that were from various parts. Voice for Men sent up some people, and Voice for Men sent up some people from out of Toronto, out of Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of us head outside. And if you watch that video, I keep on looking left because our only avenue of escape if things went nasty was right behind me, and I believe it was John. I can't think of his last name, but John was off to the left there interacting with some individuals, and there's some individuals interacting with me. And, you know, it was basically, we were the underdogs if anything went south.
I was going to ask, like, how many, were you guys outnumbered? Because, you know, you couldn't really see, like, how big the crowds were outside.
If I had to, you know, thinking back, I'd say maybe there was 30 people in for the talk, maybe 30 to 50 people, and it must have been it'd probably be pretty close to 100 of protesters that showed up, maybe a little bit more. So there's, you know, quite a discrepancy in numbers, and so anyways, yeah. So I'm just kind of watching. I've actually got a video out there where Chanty actually points me out, and then not more than 3 minutes later, she shows up. At the time, I was wearing a Voice for Men sticker, and you know, I had it on, kind of, you know, identifying me. So I was, you know, obviously had a, you know, big red target on my chest, and she thought it out. And then off she went, reading her
list.
Her list, yeah. That comes from that. She kept on saying she didn't know where it came from, but if you looked at her Tumblr feed there, her old Tumblr blog, whatever it was, she, you know, she loves, who the heck was it that wrote that article? If I say I don't hate men, will you believe me, or something like that? Lindy West.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Yes. And so, you know, she pleads stupidity and ignorance. And meanwhile, you know, on her blog, on her Tumblr blog, oh, I want to marry Lindy West. All right. So yeah, I buy that one. She, you know, any time, you know what? Today I kind of thought about things a little bit, and I come to the conclusion, and this fits perfectly with what Chanty did. So I'm of the mind that feminism is the immaculate perception. All other views are considered blasphemy and to be, you know, called out and shut down. And yes, hello. Say hi, Charger.
Hi, Charger. Hello, say hello to the dog, everybody. Jojo's not here because Lindsay is here, so Jojo's with Lindsay. Normally I have a camera with my dog Jojo. He's like an American Foxhound mix, and he like sleeps in the bed. It's right behind me here, and I have a separate cam for Jojo, but he's not here today. So I'm glad the Charger is here because we need like some doggo representation.
That's right. Up with the patriarchy, all right?
Yeah,
I've had enough of the felinism.
What is his breed, by the way? He looks like a Malinois.
Yeah, he's half shepherd, half husky.
Oh, okay.
And he's 9 years old, and he still pulls like a mule. He's in fantastic shape, but yeah, and he's raring to go. If there's a female within 50 miles, he's ready.
He's still got it.
Yeah. So anyway,
you were talking about Chanty and feminism being like a religion.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the immaculate perception. Only their view is holy. You know, it's sacrosanct, the holiest of holies. Any other views, that's it. It's got to go. It's the devil's work. So what Chanty read off there, and every time I tried to, you know, point out something, she would just scream, "It's not for you, Mr. Entitled fuckface." Anyways, blah, 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 blah. And off she went. So, yeah, that's kind of how she ends up in my face. And, you know, we kind of interact back and forth. But if you look at that video, I keep on looking left because I was worried too. There was a serious outnumbering going on. And our only egress was to go right back into the building. And that was, you know, kind of semi-crowded as well. So yeah, it could have gone bad very, very easily, but it didn't, thankfully.
So you said there was a guy named John with you. Was that John Hembling? John the other? Or,
yes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So it was John the other, John Hembling. Yeah, I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. Yeah, he used to work with Allison and Karen and stuff on videos back in the day.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like 2013. So it's you know, it's there, you know, 10 years ago sort of deal. Just over 10 years. So what else comes out of that is, okay, so now, you know, Chanty's got my attention sort of deal. I want to know why this person kind of picked me out and, you know, decided that they were gonna. It almost to me, in my mind, it seemed like she wanted me to pop, say something stupid or do something stupid.
Oh yeah, for
You know what I
sure.
mean? Just the way how obnoxious she was being.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I kind of, you know, she got my attention, and I wrote an article about her, and I took my time. 5 days. I waited 5 days to put that article out because as soon as I seen what was happening, I'm like, this is really good, but danger, Will Rogers, dangers, because, you know, you know, a lot of people really didn't like what she did, and understandable. But, you know, like to the point where there were some comments that there's no way in hell that I would ever condone them, you know, disavow 1000%. So I was really kind of concerned about that. I've never had any hatred for Chanty. Always pity. Always pity. It must be hell going through life with that much hate in your soul.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
for sure, absolutely. That is I'm glad you said that. You know, I've actually been trying to reach Chanty Binx for years. I want to get her on the show. Her Tumblr is it's still there, I think, but she doesn't post on it anymore. She's basically left social media and said that she's been claims anyway that she's been harassed off of it. I don't think that that's the case. I think that she's just really ashamed. That's what I'm hoping, because that's sort of like, you know, you're ashamed and then you sort of repent and then you try to do better, you know. But I actually tried to get her on. I'm still trying to get her on. So if anybody has any way, I would love to get her on. And I don't want to fight with her or anything. I just want to talk to her because, you know, Cassie J pulled it off for her movie. She pulled off The Incredible and got her on. And I'm like, how did you do that? I've been trying to do this for years. Because, you know, I want to thank her. Like I was saying, you know, Big Red's done more for essentially the fight against feminism than I think most MRAs could have hoped for, you know. You know?
As soon as I started seeing things pop, like when I got home from Toronto, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning or the next day, I can't remember. But, you know, as soon as I just started seeing things pop online, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is a volatile situation, and you know, I wouldn't wish ill upon anybody, sort of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, I got no problems letting her own those words. They are hers. They're not mine. So that kind of played out. There was so yeah, I wrote that article about 5 days after, and I've actually invited her on walks.
Really?
All right, there's the other dog that Charger was watching for.
So
it's a popular dog walking spot here. And it's
oh
nice,
yeah, sure. It looks nice. Is it? It's not. Is it too hot? It doesn't look hot.
No, it's beautiful out. The creek's right behind me. There's all kinds of wildlife around here. You know, I got deer that come.
It looks kind of close to us. Like in Virginia, there's a river, and we take JoJo. He loves swimming. So yeah, it reminds me of where I am, basically. Where are you exactly right now? In Canada, I assume.
So I'm about a mile away from McMaster University. Where that infamous Jordan Peterson lecture took place.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 2017 or 18, I think it was, March 13th.
The free speech thing that he did outside. We were surrounded by all the... Okay, yeah, well, that was the thing that put him on the map. You're close to all the hot spots then.
Yeah. So, I've actually... I would like to hammer home this point. And if you ever, get a hold of her, she's more than welcome to come out for a walk and put some stickers up and, you know, and just get over this kind of hump, whatever. You know, it's open to everybody. I don't care who puts a sticker up. You know, I'd rather my enemy put my sticker up with that National Suicide Hotline than, you know, somebody tear it down.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to ask you a little bit about your how you got involved with this stuff. You and I talked a little bit before the show. You mentioned Earl Silverman. And you guys, in case you don't know, maybe tell us who Earl Silverman is. You can probably do it better than I could. And you knew the guy. I didn't know him. And is what happened with him why you got involved with this, or were you kind of interested before, or what?
I was okay. So the weight of the state fell on my shoulders back in 2019 when a cop said, "Suck it up. We don't intend to enforce the law," after an ex had committed legal crimes against me.
Mm-hmm.
Not physical ones. So I started, getting a little, curious. Why is this? This don't seem right here. And so I did a little digging, and other things happened, and the more I dug, the angrier the powers that be got, and kind of made me dig my heels in deeper. So anyways, 2009, the weight of the state comes down on me. I kind of worked through that, not really, not greatly, not successfully, but I still, I get through it, and I'm like, there's just something so wrong here. And so I start doing a blog, and I come across Barbara Kay's writings and a few other things, and I start looking at the general social surveys on domestic abuse and what the numbers are.
Mm-hmm.
And I start looking at it, and I'm going like, there's pretty much 1% difference for the last 20 years. What's going on here, sort of deal. And then I kind of go on from there. I think shortly after that, after I started doing that, then Professor Holly Johnson and the heck's the name? The Ottawa Coalition to End Violence Against Women, Ottawa or whatever, puts out Hidden in Plain Sight, and they absorb all the male victims and claim them as female victims. So the numbers that they put out,
oh my goodness,
it was like 1.3 million women were abused, during the last general social survey, and what the real numbers were, it was 585,000 men and 601,000 women that reported abuse in the general social survey.
So they're just adding it together and saying it's women.
Yeah. And so Ottawa or whatever, Ottawa Coalition, they're also heavily involved in, what is it, Seedwa or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
UN arm of the a coalition to end violence against women sort of deal. And so like if they're sloppy here, then they're sloppy there, and they don't like my name getting called, or being dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So I post that to Paul Elam there, and I say, "Hey Paul, can you do me a favor and put this up there?" And so as soon as from there, it was just like, geez, I just started getting noticed.
Yeah.
And then Earl Silverman reaches out to me, and we chat back and forth, and he was up on uttering a threat charge, which was 260, I think that's 264 1-1 of the criminal code, or 265. It's right there somewhere. And that's a strict liability law. And if I remember correctly, I think Earl said he was going to pull the lip over some domestic or some crown attorney's, pull the lip over some crown attorney's head.
Yeah.
And that was considered, like it was the most ridiculous thing. It was a hyperbolic comment, not to be taken seriously. But because it's a strict liability threat or a strict liability charge, that means the onus fell on Earl to prove his innocence, prove that he wasn't being serious about his comment.
Mm-hmm.
So we start, going back and forth, and he's running MASH at the time, which is the Men's Abuse Shelter and Housing, out of his house there it's in Alberta, but I can't remember exactly where it was. And he was doing fundraisers, and I bought a brick, even though I was kind of poor at the time, and I hung posters up for him.
Yeah.
And put those around, and tried to raise him money. Walked up and down the main drag here in Dundas, and I went to all the shops and the ones that I figured would be receptive, and asked them, hey, you want, here we go, this is the only shelter we got here in Canada for men, and we all know that that things aren't exactly peachy for men. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of a response he got from that, but I did make the effort. And then he fell into serious trouble, and I 2 weeks before his suicide there, I talked to him, and I gave him my phone number. I said, anything, just reach out, don't care what time, it's always open. And unfortunately, he didn't take me up on the offer. So yeah, that's how that played out.
And after that, first of all, I guess it hit you hard. Were you close with him, would you say?
Well, like we talked, a few times, over a year sort of deal. And it bothered me. Yeah, it did, because, I was starting to do the walks, because in 2015, that's the first year in, I think, 60 some odd national mental health weeks that they said, hey, holy shit, we got half a population we've been ignoring for 60 some odd years. Yeah. So, but I was right around in there, and I started looking at things. The more educated I became, the more I started looking at things and started formulating that suicide needs to be the one that I should be hammering on, because from suicide I can talk about divorces. I can talk about job losses and housing losses, substance abuse, and I can tie that back into so many different things that affect men throughout life. And so it just seemed like the natural one for a small fry like me to go up against.
Yeah, no, suicide's huge. We talk about it frequently on the channel, and I understand that you help out, like, writing articles for one of the mental health websites. I just had a guy on not long ago.
Phil Mitchell. I think he's Dr. Phil Mitchell.
Yeah, Phil Mitchell. That's right. Yep, that's right.
Center for Male Psychology, I think it is.
Yeah, that's right. Center for Male Psychology. Yes, but a few other ones. Dr. John Barry, I've had on in the past. So yeah, definitely a big thing that just now, a lot of normies are starting to see. I mean, they're talking about it as a male loneliness epidemic, but that's sort of amongst younger guys. But yeah, I mean, obviously, suicidality is a big men's issue that is not being addressed, because the people are trying to resolve the symptoms and not the cause, right? Like what tracing it back, starting the story in the middle, as it were.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a tough thing to get into. You're not going to find many guys talking about it, because they got fed up with talking a long time ago, and they're they're buried already.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So I'm gonna open this one up, sort of deal. So yeah, I run Project Jeb, and what Project Jeb is it's a walk that I do to raise awareness about the male suicide issue. Currently, in most Western nations, English-speaking nations, men are rocking 75% of all suicide, and that's a deplorable number. So I came up with something called Project Jeb after the first dog that I went on the first walk with. His name was Jeb. Charger is his replacement, sort of deal. So I figured, after the first walk, I figured what better way to honor that hairy son of mine than to call something, after him, Project Jeb, leave him a legacy. So I come up with 4 pillars for Project Jeb, which is number 1, toxic masculinity is toxic terminology. We can talk toxic behavior all day long and not undermine a young man's ability to develop a healthy ego, right? Conversely, would society put up with the term toxic femininity? Girls hold it in, they cut, apparently. This is what I'm told. Isn't that toxic behavior? I leave this open. There's my position. That's pillar 1. Pillar 2 is that we should encourage our sons to talk a little bit more at an early age, and we should listen, okay? Not just hand wave, oh, that's toxic masculinity speaking, not just hand wave. We should listen to their concerns. Maybe they have an issue going on, maybe they don't, but if we don't listen, we'll never find out.
Well, we shouldn't shoot them down when they start expressing their feelings, because that's exactly what feminists do, is they'll say men need to talk about their feelings more, and then when a man says, well, here are some things I'm dealing with, they'll say, wham, wham, male tears, right? So it's like, if you're not, like you said, you have to be willing to listen. It's not enough to just say, whatever. You have to make, especially with young men, they should feel comfortable about expressing themselves in whatever way they are comfortable and when they're ready. You can't corner them and be like, you have to tell me, whatever, right? Like the way that men heal emotionally is different from women. We're not going to have a cry session. Most of the time that doesn't work with men.
We're gonna get to that in pillar. We're gonna get to that on pillar 2.
Okay. Pillar 2. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's a flip side to pillar 2 about our young bucks, encouraging them to talk. And that's our daughters. Encourage them to get a little dirt underneath their fingernails. My God, they're not made of fine bone china. Get out there, build them forts, enjoy themselves too. Right?
Yeah.
This, like we should stop, teaching our daughters that they are, fragile things. They are not. Okay, that's my point there. Pillar 3. Okay, we should be tweaking mental health services to make them more appealing to men. And that's not to say take away from women's or the current therapy, which is more female appealing. They talk face to face. What I mean by tweaking it a little bit to make it more appealing to men is get their hands busy. Us guys, we seem to like to be up to our elbows in an engine, and we'll say, "Hey, I'm having a little problem at home there," or at my age, my prostate, numbers aren't coming back at a good, at a good thing or something like that, right? So get our hands busy, so our gums will, so that we'll start talking. And if anybody doubts my word, just go down to the local bar and look at the hands being busy with the guys and how they're talking. That's pillar 3. So that's, And pillar 4 is an easy one. And again, this applies across the board. Substances aren't solutions. That's it. Project Jeb in a nutshell. Yeah.
And that's on X or Twitter at Project or hashtag Project Jeb. I put a link in the description also to your Twitter handle so people can follow you. I followed you just a little while ago today. I just got back on Twitter because I was permanently banned for pissing off the communists. And I had to make a new account, so I didn't really get my old one is still banned. Elon Musk apparently hasn't noticed that I'm not there, but so
I think he's got his hands full.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have time for a small fry like me, but all right, but anyway,
didn't he get charged $300,000 or something like that?
I don't know. Are people suing him? I'm sure. I mean,
it was they wanted to have access to somebody. I think it was Donald Trump's account, and he said no.
I see.
So the DOJ fined him $300,000 or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's not a problem for him. It shouldn't happen. Ridiculous. No, it is ridiculous, obviously. I mean, there's all kinds of lawfare and political weaponization going on right now. I mean, but I want to go back to the protest about one other thing I meant to mention. You said that one of the presenters was kind of like, afraid for her safety, right?
She looked concerned.
Yeah.
Professor Catherine Young.
Do you think that there was, I remember Kathy Young. Do you think that there was cause? Like, did you feel like things could have gotten bad? Because, it's like, if there's a bunch of women yelling, that's one thing, but if there's some white knights there and simps there, they can get worse, So do you think something could have happened? Is that why you're looking out for, you were making escape plans in your head and stuff?
Toronto ain't Baltimore, but it can be a little rough. And the crowds that are coming out, it's the Antifa, whatever. And they're not exactly known for being
diplomatic
protesters. Yeah. So so I did a little, looking, digging into, Chanty's online presence, and who do I come up with? A guy by the name of Michael Laxer. And Michael Laxer is, I think he was the head or the co-vice president of the Communist Party of Canada or something like that. Very, very, very.
I mean, look at this. This is a shocked face. I am shocked. I'm shocked that it was commies. So because a lot of people are discovered Antifa maybe in 2020, but I was wondering about the protest, not just that one with Chanty, but the one with, I think it was before that or around the same year that Steve Brule recorded where I think Warren Farrell was giving a talk. It was the same university that I went and met with a Warren Farrell at, where I saw you, and there were these angry, feminist women. I remember one of them was saying, fucking scum. And if you guys remember the fucking scum girl, she had like a nose ring. And I was wondering, could these be Antifa before we knew it was Antifa. Like, I think it was. I just think it didn't have a name at the time, or it wasn't proudly presented. I mean, do you think that could be the case?
Well, Antifa is Marxist communist, so
yeah,
you know, it's all under the same umbrella.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And
then I think, you know, I think that possibly it was already set up in Europe, because they tend to be a little, you know, ahead of us, and it just kind of spread like the cancer.
Like the black bloc, yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's probably a little bit worse in Canada than here, although it's getting pretty bad in the States too. I guess I just drove away all of our commie supporters, of which there are none. So all zero of them. But
nothing of value was lost.
Yeah, right.
And now they're gone.
Yeah. So
hold on, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's tied in there, and they seem to be the ones who were organizing all the protests including that first original Warren Farrell one. And that one, that there was a young man, and that's why I was at the Warren Farrell one on purpose there. There was a young man at the first Warren Farrell talk, and he says, I just want to find out why 2 friends of mine killed themselves in the last year.
I remember that guy, yeah.
And yes. and he couldn't get in, and they, you know, everything was canceled. That just made my blood boil. Like I got, that's personal, because I got kin in the ground from suicide. And you know, to see that young man struggling with that, and I just thought, how could you? That was the most rudest thing. And then, you know, mercifully, Chanty came up and one-upped them. Said, hold my beer.
Did you ever find that guy? Because that's another person that I've been trying to find or looking. I don't even know his name or anything.
No, I kind of looked for him when you were up, you know, in Toronto, and I just wanted to see if I could pick him out of the crowd. I didn't really see him. I hope that he's doing well. I hope that he has kind of walked. I hope he walked away. To be honest with you, this is a hard. It's a hard road to hoe. It is nasty being in this gig. You know, like I've had the worst kind of names tossed at me. You know, allegations left, right, and center. Just like craziness. All because I said, wait a minute here.
Have you had more than, like, say, threats or allegations made? Like, have you ever been, does this put you in a position where you were, like, being, I guess, you know, arrested or jailed even?
No, because I had somebody try and set me up, but thankfully I had video, you know, kind of covering my ass. But I have had, you know, a couple folks try and set me up, and I just kind of go, you obviously judge a book by its cover, because you're looking at me thinking I am, you know, Otis from what do you call it, House of a Thousand Corpses there, but I'm not.
No, you're more like MRA Gandalf.
Yeah, Gandalf. Yeah, the anagram like Gandalf. Your shite gets no pass.
You just need a pipe. I mean, you have you vape, so you could just do that instead.
Yeah, and I got my staff here. All one.
Do you?
That's it. Oh, and Charger. He's my staff.
And you're at Charger. Yeah, that's right. That's your shadow facts. So, that's great. So you're let me ask you this. You've been doing this a while. Here's a question that I've started asking people that I know have been doing this for a while. Have you looked back on since you started doing this and thought to yourself, how much have I changed? Like, is there anything about, like, what you know, your beliefs or your worldview or maybe your overall attitude, whether you're more positive or more negative or whatever, and that has changed in the last 10 years? It's a tough question, I know, but I think it's a good one.
It's, you know, it's oscillation. it oscillates. There's days where I get up and I think, screw it all, I'm just going to pack it in and you know, concentrate on me. And then there's days where I just look at the misery and carnage that's around, and And I'm like, I can't. Like, I just can't turn a blind eye. I see it. So what am I going to do about it? And then there's, recent experiences that, just drive my heels in further. And I set high bars for myself too. I was going to try and do a 1,000-mile walk this year, but it's hard to juggle between, putting funds into the cart and then, trying to accumulate funds, and it's a never-ending battle. So I'm not going to make 1,000 miles, but I am going to be making a trip shortly. Yes, Charger, I know, another dog. I get it. Just relax. You're fine, but I know you're fine. So yeah, it oscillates. Have I changed? Gotten a little older, a little more determined. I'd say positive, but not. It's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
On the positive side, I am seeing change, and I'm glad to see it. I see that I seen on the Hamilton Police website now they're offering help for abused men, which is like, oh crap, hey, way to go.
That's huge, yeah.
You're only about 50 years behind the rest of us, but yeah. And then there's the hits too, because recently Hamilton just declared femicide, something femicide, or a national emergency or citywide emergency in femicide, and I'm like, the word no, the word you're looking for is honor killings, because that's mostly what's going on. It's not it's not just guys randomly going out. It's it just doesn't happen. What reality doesn't line up with what you're claiming, but they got the government's ear. More quite a bit here in Hamilton. The new mayor of Hamilton is Andrea Horvath, and she used to run the provincial NDP. What us locals call the NDP is the No Dads Party.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right.
And they swing far left.
Oh yeah, Democrats are the same. They basically turned single mothers into a voting bloc. That's what they do. That's what they do here in the States. Yeah, that's why they keep winning, because there's a lot of single moms. And they always vote for the Gibbs, and the Dems always promise them men's money, essentially. So that's why they keep winning. But I do think that, I don't know if this is what you've seen this, but I'm on the internet a lot because it's my job. And one of the things I've noticed that's kind of heartening is the conversation around men's issues is getting out of our little corner of the web into like other sort of political commentary. In particular, the word misandry. I'm seeing it in places that I'd never seen it before. Now, it still comes up as a misspelled word if you put it into like a Word document or something, or online. But people, like on YouTube or on websites or whatever, are using the word. Even the people who hate us feel like they have to use the word. And I think that's a big step forward. Am I wrong about that?
Just the fact that people are recognizing it. Yeah, it was, I remember when there was when Professor Paul Nathanson and Catherine Young professors there, they were just starting to, kind of introduce the word into, kind of the North American vernacular. And there was quite a blowback about that. And, of course they came out, there's no such thing. By the way, kill all men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a couple male tears with that, that that non-misandry, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is a good thing. And even CNN is popping articles, what's wrong with today's men sort of deal and stuff like that. And so, the fact that the mainstream media is kind of opening the door for us is a good thing. Unfortunately, the door that they're opening is to folks like Michael Flood and other,
Michael Kimmel, Michael Flood, absolutely. Well, that's the thing, and I've been saying this, and I'm glad that you brought this up, because I've been saying that when people say, well, there are people talking about men's issues now, and I'm like, yeah, but the reason why is because they're finding out that they can no longer Before, they used to censor us, they used to ban us, they would protest our gatherings, they would try to get us removed from social media, they would try to block us, etc. But now that the conversation is getting out of control, they're going to try and co-opt it. So now they're going to say, oh, actually, we feminists do care about men. And when they, if we let them co-opt it, then they're just going to, they're going to do what you said. They're going to make it Michael Flood, Michael Kimmel, toxic masculinity, all of the way, the feminist sort of ways of interpreting men's issues. The APA guidelines, you know about the APA guidelines, right? The American Psychological Association. Yeah, so like that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try and make it their brand of men's issues, and it's really not going to help. It's probably going to make things worse. So we have to keep fighting against that.
Yeah, and so basically, you know, what are they going to get from Kimmel and Flood? Oh, you're a defective woman.
Yep.
You're full of toxic masculinity, and you're a defective woman.
It's just like boys in school. That's what they get, right? From teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we dare to touch that third rail about school?
We can do that, absolutely. What do you mean? I've been talking about teachers forever.
What's going on in schools these days? Drag Queen Story Hour.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's yeah, we can talk about that. That's all because I think it's related. You know, like I think there is well, you can look at the work that's been done. I can't remember the names of the various sort of like academic feminists that have written on queer theory, but that goes back to like the 60s, the 70s. You know, Janice Fiamengo put out a tweet, I don't have it in front of me, where she was talking about a book that, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it was about gender, and it was written in the 70s, and it is exactly what this is. And this is like why I say, you know, like there is a war within feminism, right? Between the second wave feminists that were like this, you know, women worsting kind of feminists, and then there's like the intersectional feminists, which are, you know, they involve like they sort of bring in the trans queer theory stuff, the queer ideology stuff, and sometimes people ask that, you know, I take a side in that, and I hate them both equally. Like I think the one is just anti-male, the other one doesn't think that masculinity is an identity that exists. So I don't think either of them are good, and I think that like actually supporting either side of that is going to lead to more male suicide. I mean, that's just to me that's just what it is, and I think it's supporting a very radical notion of feminism. And plus, I like living in reality where I know that gender is real. You know, I mean, call me a bigot, I guess.
You saying I can't identify as a terrible lizard king?
I mean, I wish I could.
Just call me T-Rex, terrible lizard king.
And I mean, this stuff only escalates too. Like there was another tweet that I saw from, and I bet this is real, but you never know. It's Twitter. This is the pride flag, okay? So someone from a tweet handle called Zooey.pub says the struggles zoosexuals face are the same faced by members of the LGBT before them. Direct comparisons between the two are not only apt, but necessary. Today we're taking a look at the similarities between the two, and it shows two flags. There's like the pride flag, and I guess the zoo. Sit charge, you're not allowed on Twitter at all. Sexual flag. And I mean, I don't think it's parody. I think it's basically like if you start making allowances for everything, then there's no bottom. The book that Janice was talking about is called Gender Trouble, Judith Butler. So here's that's it right there. So you guys can see it. I hope it's not in reverse on your side, but yeah. So and again, essentially, I think this is important because it's not avoidable. Janice says anyone who thinks trans was not promoted within feminism as a crucial part of women's lib has to read Judith Butler's writings. She called for bodies to become the site of a dissonant and denaturalized performance that reveals the performative status of the natural itself. So that basically means like that, you know, we have to show people that gender is not real and people should be able to dress however they like. Now, I never had a problem with drag queens before. I always thought of it as something fun, you know, like going to watch clowns in the circus. But it's become political. And this is why I say, you know, everything is political. There's nothing you can do about it. I know you don't want to say that, but it's just what it is. And I think
where I was going to, so up here on September 22nd, apparently there is a protest in all the major, you know, provincial capitals, and I believe at Ottawa too, and it's Leave Our Kids Alone.
Yeah.
And it's that Billboard Chris guy.
That sounds like fascism to me.
Yeah, it's that, I believe it's Billboard Chris, and I believe it's a Muslim woman that has, what do you call it, organized it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of weird. Like, this is like, I can't believe Trudeau didn't see this one coming. Like,
I know.
You're gonna promote this, and you're gonna, you know, like, wow, man, like, like, why don't you just? I'll tell you, you know, just stand in a pool, a kiddie pool full of gasoline, and flick matches there. I'm sure you'll get the same result. Because, man, you're just torching your political career here. So
yeah, well, when tolerance is what you claim to be the highest virtue, it is unattainable, because some things just don't play nice together. And I think the LGBT and Islam are an example of that. So that's what you're gonna get.
Listen, they got great balcony views, I hear.
Yeah, right. It's like a ride. But
So anyways, let me
go ahead.
So right now they got the Drag Queen Story Hour, and it's and like, my mind, no. Get the fuck out of the elementary schools. All right, maybe, you know, graduation or something at high school where they're like 18, but no, get the hell away from the kids. All right. And my position, you know, so I'm gonna say, hit 18, go with God. All the power to you. Whatever floats your boat, as long as it's consensual. Don't care. All right. None of my business. That's one thing that the Trudeau Senior got right. The government has no business in the bedroom. Right. So that's one thing that, you know, at least he got that right. But anyway, so they're bringing them into the schools and at like elementary ages. And I find this to be just wrong. And I'm going to point to, how does a kid learn to talk? What do? They mimic. They mimic their parents. They watch the lips, and then they do the same action. And so what on God's green earth do these kids need to know how to shimmy, shake, whatever? You know, because the one book is the hips on the tranny go swish, 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 or something like that.
I know. Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, just get the hell out. And as a matter of fact, okay, fine. If that's the way that you're going to be, inclusion, all right, let's go full inclusion. I say we get some hot-looking dancers from, you know, the Peeler Bar there, and we introduce them to the gay young men and say, hey, just diversity and inclusion. Fully diverse, fully inclusive, and we get some swinging dinglings for the the young lesbian girls. So that diversity and inclusion.
Yep.
It's a rather weird political position for me to take. As a matter of fact, I hope people are catching my hyperbolic satire.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. But yeah, if you guys are curious, read up on some Judith Butler and some Paolo Fieri. I think he was one of the commies. I'm just gonna call them commies. I'm gonna keep it simple. That was involved with pushing this sort of queer stuff on children, queering the children. So that's why this is happening.
So what about Simone de Beauvoir?
Yeah, Simone de Beauvoir. Yeah.
Yeah, and the second sex, and Foucault wasn't she with
Foucault there? Yeah, Foucault too.
Yeah, and didn't she say that all children should be raised by the state, sort of deal? Or,
yeah. I mean, like Hillary Clinton said that. So, you know, Black Lives Matter says that, right? It was on their charter. I mean, I think they took it down, but yeah, they said that, you know, children should be raised by villages that are composed of was it mothers, and basically just women, grandmothers, aunts, you know, no men, no fathers, no dads allowed. So
that'll work out well.
Yeah, exactly. So
Good. I can't wait to see those women plumbers.
Yeah, plumber Barbies everywhere.
Funny, she don't look like Barbie. Why she wearing a mustache?
So what do you got going on right now? Like, you have plans? You mentioned that you were going to be maybe going on the walk. I'm curious about what your next sort of goals are, what plans you have for the rest of this year and going in next year.
All right. Yes, just relax. Do you want to walk? Is that what you want to do? You want to walk? Okay, I'm going to take you guys on a walk. You all right with that?
That's fine. We got about like 10 minutes left, so yeah, you can start walking if you want.
Yeah, he wants to go. He wants to say hi, Matt, to Magic and Dave. That's why he's whining. That's Magic.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. All right, that's why he's whining. All right, Charger, that's enough. Yeah, he wanted to say hi to the neighbors there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a popular place for us to sit around and walk our dogs. We love our dogs around here. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I can't complain at all. So my plans. I'm gearing up for, I think, it's gonna be getting on 8th or 9th walk. It's just gonna be a short one to Toronto. I am, to be honest with you, I'm slightly concerned about this year's walk, and I've never been really concerned about them before. People are desperate.
Yeah. What do you mean by desperate?
Well, they're living in tents and they're hungry, and
Oh, so there's some homeless problem, or is it migrants?
Oh yeah. There's like okay, so we've got, I think I looked at the last numbers. I think they said 1,900 people homeless in Hamilton City alone. In Toronto, it's crazy. It's even worse. Like Allen Gardens is full of tents. All of them are full of tents. Like, it's just absolutely insane. Yeah.
Chicago is too. That's I lived in Chicago for my whole life. I was born there. I lived like 2 blocks from the hospital I was delivered in, and in 2020, I saw it starting like in 2017. There was more and more homeless, and there were tents, and people living in the parks and like in tents out of their cars and so on, and they all had mental health issues and drug addiction. And then like some people broke into the place where my wife works, my wife Lindsay, who's from Calgary, and that's not something that, there's parts of Calgary that are kind of sketchy, but it wasn't like it is in Chicago. And I was like, we got to get out of here. So we did some research. Paul Elam, actually, who lives right here in the same city as me, he said, you should come to Roanoke, Virginia. And I said, all right. And we looked into it, and I was like, wow, cost of living is low, crime is low. Like, it's a quiet, it's a smaller city, but like, it was nice. And so we came here. I had to get out of there. And from what I heard, it got so bad in Chicago, there's like tents in O'Hare Airport. There's all kinds of homeless people. People are like, urinating and defecating, and they're doing drugs, and they're fighting with each other. It's crazy. So yeah, this is obviously not unique to Canada, but it's also a big problem in America, and not just on the West Coast, which is where it's probably the worst, but it's bad in Boston, Baltimore, New York. It's bad.
Yeah, so I'm a little concerned about that, but then I'm, again, I think about, well, what if that sticker doesn't get seen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It just needs to be, like, I call them life-saving lottery tickets, because they've got the national suicide hotline number on, right? So all it's got to do is just catch the right, that person who's looking for somebody to talk to at the right time, and then there, that's it. They get into, maybe it's not the best help, but maybe it stops them from being becoming a statistic, and then maybe they can get better help.
Yeah, and also maybe in those areas that those people are looking for that,
Yeah.
Do you ever end up talking to people on the street while you're putting up stickers about this?
I break bread with the homeless all the time. I really do. I don't find any value in treating them any different. I don't find any value in that at all. I find that, the rest of the society is already looking down on them. Why should I look down on them? It doesn't help their matters at all. If I've got spare socks, I give them socks. If I've got spare food, I give them food. I've always got water for them. Just things like that. And those things come from, people who, see me on the street, donate. I've talked to so many, my phrase is 75% of the time it's mothers and daughters left burying sons and fathers to suicide. These are the hard, real things. So it's mostly, mothers and daughters and sisters and whatnot that I end up interacting with on the street. I find no goodness in turning a blind eye to any person in trouble. When I go into Hamilton, like I'm surprised actually. The last 2 times I went into Hamilton, I didn't have to shake somebody awake.
Mm-hmm.
If there was still a pulse. And the last person I shook to see if they were awake, it was a woman. So it doesn't matter. Like, this is just such a god awful thing that it's just taken down our youth like you wouldn't believe. At least the way I see it. So I'm a little concerned about that. I'm going to be pushing the substances aren't solutions thing, because I feel that really, really needs to be addressed. Friend of mine just lost her son this past year to an overdose, and I went to school with her, and it's starting to hit my friends' kids now, and I worry about this. It really worries me.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Do you know what he OD'd on? Out of curiosity.
It was probably fentanyl.
I was gonna say because fentanyl's it's getting around. There's this thing that's worse that I think people have started doing in like Boston. It's the zombie thing. Like, it eats the skin away
it's a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah.
The fentanyl-based horse tranquilizer sort of deal. But then on top of it, what the what do you call it? The first responders, ambulance drivers are telling me now is that what they're doing is they're mixing the fentanyl with a PAM, diazepam or something like that.
Oh yeah, sure.
So that the fentanyl, or not the fentanyl, the naloxone doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a death sentence. It's a death. You don't come out of it, sort of deal, and it's horrible.
That's horrible.
I watched them bring back somebody. The phrase that they kept on using, the overdose team kept on using, "Have we got to batter up? Have we got to batter up?" And the only thing that made sense to me in that phrase was that they were, have they got a pulse? And that woman, it was another woman that I just happened to witness. There was 2 syringes, empty naloxone syringes, that I watched them pump into her, and then there was 3 nasal ones that were by her body too. So that's like 5 doses just to get her back to a pulse.
Yeah.
And it's just killing, like just ravaging through.
Wow.
And the crime rate's up. It's up so high that we had a pickup truck stolen out of our backyard the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm missing all kinds of things. I lose, people steal things from me, and I'm getting fed up with it. I'm really, really tired of that. Yeah. I got to a point where I actually put up a security camera on my front door.
Oh, wow.
And the one kid kept on screwing with it, but he's moved on now, so that's good enough for me. Other than that, I'm about to order, make an order for a mural or wrap for this year's cart. I've gone from steel to aluminum. That old cart, that was a heavy old beast. Cartzilla weighed, fully loaded, she was rocking 300 pounds. I bent 5/8 electric scooter axle carrying that baby.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but she got she did what she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
She got the conversation started, and that was that's the main thing. Just get the conversation. For me right now, at the, as big as small as I am, just getting conversation started. That's the main thing.
Yeah, same here. That's my number one goal, is just get people talking. Don't worry about putting your foot in your mouth or not saying something quite right, just like put out what you think, and just, you know, get ready for feedback and go from there. I agree 100%. So we've reached the hour mark, so I'm gonna wrap it up, but I wanted to ask one more thing. Is it possible for people to get the stickers that you've been putting up if they wanted to put up stickers in their area? I don't know how this works, but
just copy it and do it and tag it.
So just copy it from where? The website, your Twitter, like where do you get it?
The Twitter feed, wherever. They can reach out to me if they want, you know, the design. It's open concept. And as a matter of fact, I've got an open concept, or I've got the number for UK already set up. I should be making one for United States. Like, yeah, like just take the design, make use of it.
Yeah, there you go.
And then just put it up there and just include the hashtag Project Jeb. That's it.
All right, and so you can print it up at Kinko's or whatever, FedEx.
Wherever they want.
Yeah, wherever you can get it, and then you guys can share some stickers in your area. I'll probably get some made and share them around here in Roanoke. It's
so you're gonna need to change that number.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll get the right number and then do it.
Yeah. So all right. So let me have a couple last words here.
Yeah, sure.
I encourage folks to become a Jedi warrior. Be a force for good. Raise awareness about men's mental health. And screw you, House of Mouse, on your frickin' trademark thing.
All right. So if you guys want to follow Dan on Twitter, I've left link to his stuff in the description. Use the hashtag. Let me see. What is it? Project Jeb. Hashtag Project Jeb on Twitter. And let's talk about men's mental health without feminist interference. So I'm going to wrap the show up there. Thank you so much, Dan, for taking the time and talking to us on this like with this lovely nature backdrop and your wonderful dog Charger. There he is. Hey, Charger. Oh, look at that. This is beautiful.
There you go.
All right. So, yeah, he's well trained too, huh?
Especially if there's a donut involved.
Yeah. All right. So, if you guys like this video, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on today's show. And please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring, and it's very important that we just do what we can, like save as many men as possible. Hell, it'll probably save some women too. So thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of the Fireside Chat, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.